Doug Ford of Ontario recently used his majority in the legislature to ram through a law which some people call the Gag Law, over the objections of a judicial order. Christine von Geyn is with the Canadian Constitution Foundation. She joins me right now because you wrote the article saying it's a gag law. First of all, explain to us what this law does. I thought it only made sure that people out there like unions can't use all their money to influence elections.
Yeah, so that's one of the big misperceptions about this law. People think it just applies to unions, but it actually applies across the political spectrum. And I would argue that it actually makes it harder for people who have less money to participate in election dialogue. If you're a big union, if you're a big third-party advertiser, you can hire a lawyer to help you jump through the regulatory hoops, and there are a lot of them. But if you're just a small community-level group and you want to run some ads about an issue that you care about locally, you don't have the resources to comply with the law, to hire a lawyer to help you file numerous reports, to hire an agent to do all these filings. That really has a silencing effort on democratic discourse.
It's bureaucratic. If someone wants to put their views out there, it's tough to do. And yet you're saying, like, the unions will still be able to do it, or some unions certainly supported the provincial Liberals for years and years and kept them in power.
Yeah, so
can that law be changed?
The law was struck down as unconstitutional because of the concerns that I've raised, that it silences speech. But now with the use of the notwithstanding clause, it's back in effect in Ontario.
So, is that the end of it? Aside from the political repercussions?
I mean, I think there are serious political repercussions for what the Premier has done. He's under a lot of criticism for his move. The notwithstanding clause is available to him, though. It can be challenged. I don't think its use will be successfully challenged here, though. It clearly, in my view, is an acceptable use of the notwithstanding clause. Although, from a policy point of view, I totally disagree with its use.
Let me just challenge that again, because as I said, the provincial Liberals were in power for years and years and years, and everybody knows that they had unions supporting them, that they gave favors to, and those unions paid money into organizations which were fronts, but they paid for a lot of ads to keep them in power.
Yeah,
that stuff was nefarious.
So actually, it was the provincial Liberals that originally introduced this law. So and the unions actually challenged that original law introduced by the Liberals. The challenge originated with a Liberal law. So I mean, my concern is it applies across the political spectrum. This isn't a law just about unions. This is about anyone who wants to spend more than $500 to get their views known about political issues.
And that's a big issue, which is why you're going to have to come back to this show as we get closer to the election, because it doesn't apply to this show.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to.
Well, glad to have you. Thanks very much, Christine.
Thank you.
Okay. 3 minutes. Our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, recently stood up in the House of Commons and prefaced his remarks by saying, "And we will only work from the facts," quote, unquote, and then proceeded to lie by saying Britain was in a horrible, horrible third wave, trying to show, in fact, that Canada was not the worst in the world. Britain, though, had vaccines. Canada did not. And this was not reported in the mainstream Canadian media, the media paid for by Justin Trudeau. All of which, I'm telling you, is that it's important to have this 3-minute interview. Please subscribe, ask your friends to subscribe, and press that PayPal thing so we can continue on to bring you the news you otherwise might not know.